Good afternoon and welcome to the Modern English Structure paper, which is Introduction to English Speech Sounds, paper number 9 of semester 5, BA third year optional English. In today's video, we are going to talk about the English word stress, which is also called as the accent of English. What do you mean by word stress? Stress or accent is defined as the degree of force with which a syllable is uttered. A strong force of utterance means energetic action of all the articulatory organs. The non-verbal communication, like the movement of the hand or the eye or some part of the body, is always associated while the stressed syllable is uttered. It involves a strong push from the chest wall and consequently a strong force of exhalation. This gives an objective impression of loudness to the pronunciation. A hearer perceives stress in terms of loudness. The pronunciation of the stressed and unstressed syllables is a characteristic rhythmic pattern in speech, especially in languages like English. Stress is a permanent property of a word and therefore it can be shown in a dictionary. You are advised to refer to the English Pronouncing Dictionary for picking up the stress or accent. The Oxford Dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary, or maybe the Webster's Dictionary also can be helpful for you to identify the word stress given to the English words. The following are certain rules to be borne in mind to understand the stress in English. Stress is indicated by a small apostrophe before and above the stressed syllable. For example, if you have a word like examination, the first criteria is to divide this word into the respective syllables. How many syllables are there? I will give a clap and count the number of claps in order to understand the number of syllables. Ig, za, me, ne, shin. How many times did I clap? 5 times. Ig, 1, za, 2, me, 3, ne, 4, shin, 5. So 5 syllables are there. When you have such a bigger words with 5 syllables, or maybe 2 or more, they are what are called as the polysyllabic words. And to pronounce the polysyllabic words, the criteria of the word stress or accent makes English language the characteristic feature that it carries. So, according to the rule, with the words that are ending with tion, the syllable which is present before the tion is accented, and hence you could see a small apostrophe before and in front of the last but one syllable. If you look at the sound n, on top of n, you could find a small apostrophe, which is the stress that is given to that. Now, because it is a very big word, you also have a secondary stress at z. So, it is examination. Examination. N is given a sort of stress. In order to understand the stress in a proper way, let us recapitulate our discussion on phonemes and syllables. Phonemes are the minimal sound units of a language, we said, which combine to form the next higher units called a syllable. And we have defined a syllable as a syllable is a group of phonemes that can be uttered together without a pause or a break, which has one vowel sound at least. And so, when we look at these words, follow the clap that we make in order to identify the number of syllables. Pen, only one clap would mean it's a monosyllabic word. Tub, it would mean a monosyllabic word. Dusk, you can pronounce it at one time, and hence all these are monosyllabic words. Look at the other examples. Arise. So we have clapped twice, which would mean it is a disyllabic word. Before. We have clapped twice, and so it becomes a disyllabic word. Disturb. So automatically it becomes a disyllabic word. If you look at the next word, organize. We have clapped thrice, so it's a trisyllabic word. It has got 3 syllables into it. Look at the other word, regenerate. We have clapped 4 times. So it is a tetrasyllabic word. Tetra would mean 4. Electricity. 5 times. So it's a pentasyllabic word. 5 syllables are present in electricity. Similarly are the other 2 words which are quite bigger. Characterization. Could you understand? Photographer. In that way, we should be in a position to identify the number of syllables depending upon the way in which we pronounce. This is the first step. So, how many syllables do you think a single word has is to be identified first, even before we go into the concept of marking the stress or accent to it. Once we understand this concept of dividing it into syllables, then it becomes easier for us to mark the stress. A syllable is one or more phonemes with a mandatory vowel sound in it. The syllable division is indicated by a small hyphen between the syllables, which is permanent and hence can be shown in the dictionary as well. The syllabic division is a permanent feature of the words which could be shown in a dictionary with the hyphen between the syllables. I would request you to open up a dictionary which is quite standard, maybe Oxford or Cambridge at this point, and look at the words and immediately the phonetic transcription that you could find after the words, after the spellings. You could find they are transcribed by being put in the slant lines with the help of phonemes. Not only that, they are also divided into the respective syllables and the syllabic division is marked by a small hyphen. That is the first step. The next step will be to mark the stress. Look at these words that are there on your slide. The first word is pen. You can utter it in a single time. It's always easier for us to clap and see. Pronounce it properly and clap wherever you are pausing. That is the best way to enable you to understand the syllabic division. Pen, monosyllabic. Tab, monosyllabic. Dusk, monosyllabic. But when you say arise, disyllabic. Before, disyllabic. Disturb, disyllabic. Organize, trisyllabic. Regenerate, tetrasyllabic. 4 syllables are present. Very good. Photographer. How many are there? Photographer. 4 are there. So tetrasyllabic. Electricity. 5 are there. So pentasyllabic. Characterization. How many are there? 6 are there. So quite bigger word it is. So in that way, any word that we come across, we should be in a position to first of all transcribe it properly, pronounce it properly. If our pronunciation is right, our transcription is right. And the moment you transcribe it properly, the number of vowel sounds that are present in each word is equivalent to the number of syllables that are present in each word. When you try to pronounce it rhythmically, slowly, with the help of a clap, the number of claps will coincide with the number of syllables that are using it. So practice with as many words as possible to pronounce it properly and to divide them into syllables. Every time you make it, check it up with the dictionary, whether you have pronounced it properly, number 1. Use the appropriate phonemes, number 2. And number 3, whether you have divided them into the syllables appropriately. Once you know to divide a word into syllables by putting the hyphens, then we come down to the next important part, which is what is called as the word stress or accent. Stress is of 2 types. The primary stress, which is indicated by an apostrophe before and above the primarily stressed syllable, and the secondary stress, which is indicated by an apostrophe before and below the secondarily stressed syllable. In the examples like examination, examination, 5 sounds are there. N sound actually receives the primary stress, which is indicated by an apostrophe above and before the stressed syllable. And because it's a big word and you cannot stop till n, we also take a pause and give a little stress to a second sound which is called as the z. So examination. So nay will receive the primary stress and z will receive the secondary stress. And the secondary stress is marked with an apostrophe before and below the secondary stress syllable. The notion of primary and secondary stress occurs if the word is polysyllabic. But for most of the monosyllabic, disyllabic or even trisyllabic words, we have only one stress. And let us concentrate on talking about the rules that are associated to mark as stress. In English, the syllables of words differ in prominence. In polysyllabic words, with words more than one syllable, one of the syllables always has a greater degree of prominence than the other. The syllable of greatest prominence is known as the primarily stressed syllable, or the syllable that carries the primary stress. In monosyllabic words, that is words with only one syllable, the outcome is unambiguous. Obviously, that word is stressed. If it is a content word, by content word we mean if it is a noun or a verb or an adjective or an adverb. Obviously, the monosyllabic words, which are content words, have to be stressed in the initial position only. So, for example, heat, look, greet. All these are the content words. They are monosyllabic words and they are primarily stressed in the initial position. We need not even mark them. They are automatically understood to be stressed. The primarily stressed syllable can be marked by placing a diacritic in the following way by following the following rules. Let us look into the rules. In total, there are 8 number of rules that I have categorized the stress in English words as. The first 4 rules we'll see today. And the next 4 rules, which are a little complicated, we'll see in the next video to be followed. The first rule of stress is that many a times it happens that stress in disyllabic words might change depending upon the function that the word is performing in the expression. If the word is functioning as a noun or an adjective in sentences, the stress is on the first syllable, while it is on the second syllable if it is functioning as a verb. Accordingly, the selection of the vowels will be changed. Accordingly, the pronunciation will change. The strong vowel and the weak vowel will be changed. For those syllables which are stressed, the strong vowels are used. For those syllables which are not stressed, the weak vowels are pronounced. Accordingly, your pronunciation should change. So, nouns and adjectives are primarily stressed with the first syllable, and verbs, if the same words are used as verbs, they are stressed in the second syllable. Let us look at some examples. For example, convict, convict. The convict escaped the prison. Convict is used as a noun. Obviously, if you have seen, I have transcribed it. I've also marked the syllabic division of it, and then you could see a small apostrophe before the sound k. Why? Because it is used as a noun, the first syllable is to be stressed. So it is convict. K is to be aspirated, k is to be stressed, and in the syllable that is stressed, you have a stronger vowel, convict. But if the same word is pronounced as a verb, then obviously the stress shift is observed. This is what is called as the functional shift of the stress. The stress automatically shifts from the first syllable to the second syllable. So you don't pronounce it as convict. No, you pronounce it as convict. That con, the first syllable in the noun, is replaced with or is replaced with the weak syllable, and obviously the stress will shift. So it is convict as a noun, convict as a verb. Do you understand the difference between the pronunciation? Right. Similarly is the word object, object if it is a noun, object if it is a verb. See the difference in pronunciation, difference in stress, and difference in the selection of the vowels also in each syllable. Object, O is a stressed one, O is a stronger sound. Object, is a weaker one. The moment the stress is not given to it, the strong vowel will be replaced with a weak vowel, and accordingly the pronunciation changes. Object, object. Subject, subject. Could you understand? Subject. All right. Input as a noun, import as a verb, export as a noun, export as a verb. Accordingly, the selection of the vowels will change, the stress will change, the pronunciation will change. That's a different matter that the second language learners don't give much importance to this aspect called stress. But English is a stress-oriented language, and to speak the English language with stress and intonation gives the characteristic beauty to the expression. Otherwise, there is nothing harm. The meaning is anyway communicated, but that sounds very Indianized version of English, not the RP, the received pronunciation. So practice it more and try to find out many more words where the same word will be functioning as a noun or an adjective and maybe in some other situations as a verb. And try to pronounce them, transcribe them and pronounce it. It is convict, convict, object, object, subject, subject, input, import, export, export. And there lies the difference. There's a very, very important rule that you have to bear in mind, which is the very first rule of stress. When we go to the second rule of stress, the second rule says that the disyllabic words, disyllabic would mean 2 syllables should be there, with the weak prefixes. Now, by this time, you should be in a position to understand what a prefix is and what a suffix is. A prefix is an infix that you kept in the beginning of the word, and a suffix is that which you kept at the end of the word. A prefix is that which you keep in the beginning of the word. If the prefixes are with A, with BE, with RE, with DIS, 4 are there. So almost 4 rules are kept in the same rule, right? So the weak prefixes like A, B, RE, DIS, if the words are beginning, the root words are always stressed and never the suffixes. That is the rule. What is the rule? If the disyllabic verbs are with the weak prefixes like A, B, RE, DIS, they are always stressed on the root words and never on the suffixes. Say for example, ARISE, arise, disyllabic word, right? You don't say arise in spite of the fact that it is beginning with A. The rule says that if they are beginning with the weak prefixes like A, it is starting with a weak prefix like A plus rise is arise. Obviously, the root is to be stressed and never the prefix. So, it is not arise, it is arise. And whenever you are not giving importance to the first syllable will have a weak prefix. The first syllable will have a weak vowel sound. So, the weak vowel of all is, as we know, the central weak vowel So, arise, along, among, about. That is the right pronunciation. Similarly is the next prefix BE. Look at the second word, BELOW, below. It is not below, it is below. So, lo is to be stressed. The second syllable is to be stressed. Below, before, between, beyond. Always the root word is stressed. Similarly is the next one, REDUCE. Reduce, receive, relieve, recover, recover. K is stressed, K is aspirated also. So take care of these minor rules of stress and the language really improves a lot. Improve, improve. Okay. Similarly is the next word DISTURB, which has the prefix of DIS. So it is always disturb, distend, disband, deceive. The second word, second syllable or the root syllable is accented and never the prefixes. That's the second rule. The second rule of stress is disyllabic words with weak prefixes like A, B, RE, DIS are always stressed on the root words, never on the suffixes. Remember this while you are pronouncing the sounds. Obviously, your pronunciation improves by 10%. The third rule of stress is disyllabic words are there which have now the suffixes, not the prefixes. The prefixes part is over, prefixes of A, B, E, R, E, des. Now, if you have the disyllabic words, disyllable, two syllables are to be there and they are ending with the suffixes like ATE, ISE, IZE and CT. Obviously, they take up the stress on the last syllable. NARRATE. So, it's ending with ATE and you have disyllabic narrate. Two syllables are there. It is not narrate, but it's narrate. Narrate. Similarly is ISE, IZE. ISE is a typical British expression of spelling and IZE is an American expression of spelling. Whatever it is, when the words are ending with ISE and IZE and disyllabic words are there, only two syllables are there. Obviously, the last syllable is stressed. Chastise, baptize. So, it is not baptize, chastise, it's chastise. Baptize, t is to be stressed, t is to be aspirated and the second syllable is to be stressed, never the first, because the rule says when disyllabic words are ending with ATE, ISE, IZE and ICT, obviously the last syllable is accented. Similarly is CONNECT, connect, right? So narrate, chastise, baptize, connect is the right pronunciation, and that is the rule number 3. The fourth rule is if polysyllabic words are there, disyllabic words are there ending with ATE, ISE, IZE and CT, the second syllable is accented. Supposing we have the polysyllabic words ending with ATE, ISE, IZE and IFY, the stress is on the antepenultimate syllable. Now this is very interesting. What do you mean by antepenultimate syllable? Ultimate is the last. Penultimate is last but one. Antepenultimate is third from the last. So you have to count third from the last and that is accented. Now you may ask me, do we really count and think so much and utter the words or sentences? We have to if you really want to pick up the right pronunciation. So polysyllabic words ending with ATE, ISE, IZE and IFY will take up the antepenultimate stress. Similarly, if the words are ending with ITY, a T, they also will take up the antepenultimate syllable as the stress. And also the words ending with graph, graphy, logy, meta. Now I have combined, some 3 rules into this to make a 4th rule. Which and all will take up the antepenultimate stress? Number 1, the polysyllabic words ending with ATE, ISE, IZE and IFY. Number 2, the words that are ending with ITY. Number 3, the words that are ending with graph, graphy, logy, meta. All these 3 will take up the stress on the antepenultimate syllable. Antepenultimate syllable would mean third from the last. Ultimate is the last syllable, penultimate is the second from the last, and antepenultimate is the third from the last. Let us look at the examples. Now, the very first word, COMPLICATE, complicate, right? Complicate. Polysyllabic word it is. 3 syllables are there. Trisyllabic word it is. More than 2, it is always polysyllabic. So, polysyllabic word it is because it has got 3 syllables and it's ending with ATE. What is the rule? Third from the last. Com first. Pli second. Kate third. Third from the last will be Kate is the first from the last. Pli is second. Com is to be stressed. So it's complicate. Complicate. Now the k is to be stressed, the k is to be aspirated as well. I hope you remember the rule of aspiration. Per, ter, k, when they occurred in the initial position of the accented syllables are to be aspirated. Even greater breath force is to be kept. So it is not just complicate, but it is complicate. Complicate. That's right. COLONIZE. Colonize. How many syllables are there? Colonize. 3 syllables are there. Third from the last you have 2 because it's ending with IZE. Colonize. Now k is to be aspirated as well as stressed. Justify. 3 syllables are there. So third from the last will become justify. Ability. ITY also come into the same rule. Now it is a tetrasyllabic word. 4 syllables are there. Third from the last will be B sound. So ability, ability. It's not ability, but it's ability. That's right. Similarly is photograph. Only 3 are there. So photograph. Look at the second one. Photography. 4 are there. So third from the last will be the second one. Photography. Right? And logy, L-O-G-Y, zoology. 4 syllables are there. Only here I have heard the pronunciation of zoology. It's not zoology, but it is zoology. I'm a zoologist. Zoology. Yes. Thermometer. 4 syllables are there. Meter. Immediately the fourth rule of stress reminds you that it is third from the last. So it is thermometer. Thermometer. Practice it and you will get it. And try to collect many more words associated with all these. ATE, ISE, IZE, IFY, polysyllabic words. Then words ending with graph, graphy, logy, meter. Then words ending with ITY. So it is complicate, colonize, justify, ability, photograph, photography, zoology, thermometer. Accordingly, whichever syllable will receive the stress, you have to give a greater emphasis on, and the rest of the words, rest of the syllables will have, weak vowel sounds that are used in it. We'll stop here and we'll continue from this rule, the 5th rule onwards in the next video. Bye for now.